It's no secret that Jackass acted as a springboard to bigger career opportunities for a few of its cast members. Most notably, Johnny Knoxville, a seasoned actor with just under 50 credits on his resume. But the Jackass crew member with one of the most interesting acting backgrounds was Ryan Dunn, who worked on projects of various size and scope before his untimely passing in 2011. We'll be covering the overlooked acting career of Ryan Dunn on today's episode of Looking Back. Right out of the gate, we're hit with the most confusing entry in Ryan Dunn's acting filmography, Lifeform, which was a low-budget sci-fi movie released directly to good old VHS tape in 1996. I described this as a confusing entry due to the fact that I scrubbed through the entire movie multiple times and couldn't find Ryan for the life of me. Dunn was credited as one of 10 Army privates in the film. This could be him, this could be him, maybe this one, who's to know? The entry sticks out like a sore thumb on his IMDB page, as Lifeform was released years before he gained any recognition from CKY or Jackass. I even contacted Joe Frantz, who was a close friend of Ryan Dunn, and worked as a director, producer, and cinematographer on a few of the projects I'll be mentioning in this video. Joe confirmed that the IMDb entry very well could be a hoax. If this was released in 1996, it was most likely filmed in 1995, so Dunn was probably about 18 years old, and most likely would have looked the way he did in the CKY documentary. Lifeform also wasn't filmed anywhere near Ryan's stomping grounds in the Philadelphia area, but rather San Bernardino, California. And it's totally possible that he spent some time in California after graduating high school, but the filming location is another factor that leads me to believe that he wasn't in this film. There are 22 different Ryan Dunns on IMDb, 8 of which are actors. So it's possible that one of these other people was actually in the movie Lifeform, and he was mistakenly credited as the Ryan Dunn who appeared in the film. So going by that logic, I guess Dan Auerbach from the Black Keys was the movie's director of photography, and Mark Wahlberg worked on the film as a sculptor. That's a hell of a lot of star power for a low-budget movie.
I'm in Max Payne. Have you seen that movie? Okay, donkey. Say hi to your mother for me.
If there's one movie that I'm always looking for an excuse to talk about, it's the 2003 film Haggard, also known as Haggard the Movie. I'm not kidding when I say I've watched this movie over 20 times throughout the years, and it never gets old. And don't worry, unlike the previous entry in Ryan's acting resume, I can confirm that he was actually in this movie. And even better, he was the star of the film. Haggard was directed by Bam Margera, and revolves around the life of Ryan Dunn's character, fittingly named Rye, whose girlfriend of 2 years, Glorin, suddenly leaves him, causing him to spiral into a deep depression. A depression that is made even worse when he finds out that Glorin has quickly moved on to another guy named Hellboy, played by Rake Yan.
What the fuck are you doing here?
Woo-doo-woo! Woo-doo-woo! I came to bring this to you, to see about you and your crew and what you guys are gonna do.
What the fuck are you talking about?
His best friends, Valo and Falcone, played by Bam Margera and Brandon DiCamillo respectively, spend most of the runtime trying to help him get over his ex-girlfriend. As much as I love Haggard, I can also recognize that some of the acting performances weren't that great. Also, a lot of the runtime is taken up by music montages, with songs by the band Him playing over them. Those small issues I have with the movie aside, Haggard is such a fun time. And while the acting was a bit rough in some parts, Brendan DiCamillo should have won an Academy Award for his performance. Or performances, I should say. He was only listed as having played 2 different roles in the movie's credits, but actually played 5 different characters. Falcone, the taxi driver, the announcer at the Invention of the Future contest, lead singer of Narkill, and a military officer during a dream sequence. Having actors portray multiple characters isn't uncommon in the indie movie world. It's always reminded me of Kevin Smith's movie Clerks, a clear influence on Haggard, in which several actors played multiple parts. A few of my favorite scenes are the Hellboy chase, anything involving Chris Rabb, who played Falcone's annoying cousin, and the scene towards the end, where everyone in the main cast is involved in separate romantic moments, while Falcone is on cloud 9, riding his new diamond-covered mountain bike down the street. I understand that it's not for everyone, but I can't recommend it enough. It's definitely my favorite entry in Ryan Dunn's acting resume. Also, there are a few new developments regarding Haggard, which I'll be discussing at the end of the video. Client 3815 is a short film, which was developed for submission into the 48-Hour Film Festival, an annual competition in which teams of filmmakers are tasked with creating a short film with a time limit of 48 hours, while working under strict creative conditions. Ryan shared a starring role with Jason Popson, best known for his involvement with the band Mushroomhead. This short was directed and co-written by Wilson Thomas, but here's where things get confusing. Wilson Thomas was apparently a pseudonym. The director's real name is Troy Miller. Troy Miller was a writer and producer for Viva La Bam, but has worked on loads of different projects over the years. Tally Barr also served as a co-writer for the short. She worked as a story producer on Viva La Bam, but you may remember her award-winning performance as Nice Jugs Girl in the insultingly bad Dumb and Dumber prequel, Dumb and Dumberer, When Harry Met Lloyd.
Nice jugs.
Yeah. Hey, your mom's got jugs like these.
Yeah, but they've never been in a magazine.
A movie that was also directed by Troy Miller. Client 3815 clocks in at just under 8 minutes and revolves around two individuals who work in some sort of dream control facility. They are transported into a woman's dream and need to find a way out. It's a fun little short film with a pretty inventive concept. I recommend watching it if you're a die-hard fan of Ryan Dunn or Jason Popson. A Halfway House Christmas is a parody film in which a bunch of recovering addicts are living in a house together during the holidays. Ryan Dunn has a cameo scene alongside Ray Keon. And Evil Jared of the Bloodhound Gang also makes an appearance. Ryan and Rake play a pair of drug dealers.
What are your names?
Buzz. Killer.
Okay, great. That suits you guys well.
It appears that a majority of the budget went into the casting, because the production quality on this one is absolutely atrocious. I don't think they spent much money on the wardrobe either, as Dunn is seen wearing the coat from the famous MTV Cribs appearance that he made.
My fur coat I stole from a prop room in LA and fell in love with it. Patchwork fur. Who would have thought it would have been so fashionable? This is all for the women, you see.
Buzz and Killer are tasked with planting drugs at the halfway house, but with no explanation at all, sneak into the house dressed up as maintenance men. This movie isn't worth analyzing. I honestly couldn't even sit through it. I just skipped to Ryan and Rake's scene, which thankfully only took up a few minutes of the runtime. Though I will admit, it was pretty funny to see Rake try to play a hardened drug dealer.
Give it up.
And Ryan's few lines of dialogue weren't bad. Watching a few scenes from A Halfway House Christmas didn't kill enough of my brain cells, so thankfully, Blonde Ambition, starring Jessica Simpson, is here to kill a few more of them. Blonde Ambition debuted in 2007, taking the box office by storm. Nope, that's a lie. The film made $384 on its opening weekend, eventually grossing about $6,000 in the United States, and about $1.5 million worldwide, on a $40 million budget. And honestly, I just skipped straight to Ryan's parts in this film. I gave Blonde Ambition about 10 minutes of my undivided attention before I felt the urge to slam my head into a wall. But luckily, this was another situation in which Dunn was only on screen for a few minutes. He played a character named Griswold, and he did a fine enough job. It's just unfortunate that the movie itself is a total abomination against humanity. But he did make an eye patch joke, so I guess that makes Haggard and Blonde Ambition connected in a way.
Will people be required to wear an eye patch?
No, there won't be any characters.
It's not uncommon for established actors to make appearances on Law & Order, and its spin-off, Law & Order Special Victims Unit. Ryan Dunn appeared on Law & Order SVU as a character named Riley Slade, which sounds like the name of a terrible 1980s action star. His cameo took up all of about 30 seconds, but he did a good job. It's really interesting to watch his acting chops get a little bit better with each subsequent entry in his resume. Street Dreams, aka Tony Hawk's Underground, the movie. Seriously though, the story beats are almost exactly the same. A skater kid wants to escape his small town, needs to film one last trick to finish his Sponsor Me tape, competes in the Tampa Am. Rob Dyrdek even sort of plays a character that reminds me of Eric Sparrow.
Last chance, don't choke.
Ryan Dunn portrayed a character named Cash, who ironically has no money to his name and scams vending machines for food and spare change. Ryan was so very needed in this movie, playing the comic relief character who constantly drops funny one-liners.
Kidding me? You're living in a fantasy land right now.
This is a fantasy land. Danny DeVito would be taking a dump on my chest.
What's wrong, man?
Without him, the movie would have felt completely lifeless. Street Dreams was the brainchild of Rob Dyrdek, who produced and co-wrote the film. The movie was released in 2009, but production began in 2006. In its time, Street Dreams was a literal dream, no pun intended, for anyone who skated or had any interest in skateboarding. But rewatching it in 2021, especially after having seen the fantastic Jonah Hill directed film mid-90s, it's very easy to recognize the movie's shortcomings. The acting is pretty bad, but that's to be expected, as a majority of the cast was comprised of professional skateboarders who hadn't previously acted. Nonetheless, I recommend checking out the movie for yourself. About 5 years after the release of Haggard, we were graced with a sequel titled Minghags. Well, actually, it was a loose sequel. Bam now plays a character named Lenny. Brendan DiCamillo broke his previous record of most characters played in one movie by portraying 7 completely new characters, most notably Ponce and Rutru. And Ryan Dunn now plays a character named Tucker. Chris Rabb's obnoxious but lovable character is absent in Minghags, as he stepped away from the spotlight for a few years. So the void he left was filled by Mark the Bagger, who I'll admit still makes me laugh in this movie, especially during the cashier scene at Fairman's skate shop.
No problem, dudes.
I thought you said we can get this for free, man.
Later, dudes. Bye-bye. Hold on, guys. Sweet, the boys in blue have arrived.
What the hell happened?
I caught these dudes shoplifting.
You didn't forget to ring these guys up, did you?
Nope, they were stealing.
Ralph, I'm afraid I'm gonna have to fire you.
Daddy, no!
Minghags also features the only credited role of Zach Hartwell, the passenger who was killed in the crash that took Dunn's life. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the only things that Minghags and Haggard share are the setting of Westchester, the band Narkill, the garbage juicer, which was featured in the Invention of the Future contest alongside the reverse microwave, Mark Hanna's character, and the Diamond mountain bike that Falcone won at the end of Haggard, which for some reason this new character named Ponce now has in his possession. That aspect of the movie has never made sense to me, but it's a dumb comedy. I'm not going to sit here and try to dissect it. Overall, I would watch Haggard over Minghags any day, but this was still a pretty enjoyable movie. Also, like the movie Haggard, there are some new developments regarding Minghags, which I'll be discussing at the end of the video. Living Will is one of the greatest examples of life imitating art, as it was one of the first posthumous releases in Ryan Dunn's filmography, in which he plays a ghost. This film is pretty good, but don't be fooled by the movie's cover. Bam Margera makes an appearance in Living Will for all of about 2 minutes, alongside Mark Hanna. This one is a bit harder to come by than the other films in this video, but you can rent it from a bunch of different streaming services, or purchase it on DVD. Here we go, another movie in which Ryan Dunn appears to have played a drug dealer. I only know that because of his actions in the film's trailer. And, well, he's credited as the drug dealer on IMDB. Close-Up is impossible to find online, and wasn't released officially, which is unfortunate because I was interested to see Ryan in a more serious role. Similar to Close-Up, the 2011 movie Booted was never officially released. Not only that, but both films feature Ryan Dunn and Alan Ruck, best known for his role as Cameron Fry in the classic 80s movie Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I remember seeing the trailer for this years back. I was really excited to check it out. It looked like a fun, goofy comedy with an interesting premise. Unfortunately, the film was shelved and has never seen the light of day. Before you get too excited, The Bates Haunting is not at all affiliated with the Psycho franchise. This was a modestly budgeted horror movie. Bam and Dunn make very quick appearances, but Dunn's quick cameo honestly had me laughing out loud. He sure did love incorporating Danny DeVito into his humor.
40 minutes for my pizza! You seem aggravated too. This is ridiculous.
So hungry I'd have Danny DeVito fart in my mouth to fill me up.
Before I roll the outro, I wanted to let everyone know that Joe Frantz did a live stream on YouTube, where he announced that all 4 of the CKY movies, the Iceland Waterfall video from 2003, Haggard, and Minghags, are getting distributed to digital platforms through an independent distribution company. He also explained that for $20, fans can pay to have their name included in the credits of said projects, and all of the proceeds will go towards putting out a physical Blu-ray release for these movies. Additionally, if enough people contribute, Frantz said that he will piece together a bunch of unused footage from back in the day, and CKY 5 will finally be released. The quickest way to receive further updates on this is to follow Joe Frantz Films on YouTube. I'll leave a link in the description to his channel. That'll do it for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you feel so inclined, please give the video a thumbs up and click on both the subscribe button and the bell icon to be notified of future uploads. Thank you for watching today's video, and I'll see you on the next one.